How's everyone doing? Good afternoon. This is Clip Bradley. This is Clip Bradley of the Shema Media Productions in Chicago. And you know what? We have a great guest to come on. And good morning, good evening, whatever time you're looking at this. And we're going to talk about some injustice that took place in Ohio. You know, this is me coming from Clifton Bradley, coming from out of the United States, coming out of Chicago, Illinois, in the USA. And you're going to sort of hear things from a perspective of the United States about how this system, judicial system, this legal system works. I didn't say that right. I know I didn't say that right. And and you know what? My King's English is not that great. It's not terrible either. So, but I can use a little ebonics if I want to, like a yeah, and I heard that. But waiting on Frank Lordi to come on. He has a book. He is the author of a book, and he is out of Ohio. And what happened is, yes, hello, yeah, yes. Oh yeah, I sent you the link. I'm just waiting on you to come in. I'm Yeah, you want me to send the link again? It's no problem. Okay, I'll send the link. I'll send the link again. It's no problem. Okay, no problem. Okay. I'm just wait. I'm just waiting on you. Okay, no problem. Okay, no problem. Okay. So you know what? That was the guest. And he 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 might be having some type of technical problem or some type of difficulty. And you know me, I'm ready to start. I'm ready to get this show on the road. And you know what? We're gonna be taking telephone calls. We're gonna be taking telephone calls. And I'm looking forward to that. And who knows? It may be a situation where I may have to relay a relay a the message to somebody, because this I'm going to send him the information again. And okay, so what happens is he has the link. I sent it again. And what happened is this individual, he was locked up. He was locked up because he dared to go against the system in Ohio. And apparently they're very powerful Democrats, and there are very powerful Republicans in the state that he lives in. And what happened is, they offered him a deal when he didn't take it. Okay, but I'm gonna let him tell you that. You know what? Because what happens is he has a book, and it is on Amazon, and it talks about the corruption. And there's some nice people within politics, political officials that did help him to get the way he is. That's something they did, though. And that's about it. I'm waiting on him. Y'all excuse me. I am used to starting on time when I do something. And you know what? This I did not anticipate. I did not anticipate that. And I'll send him the link one more time. You know, and but individuals that took time out of the day, out of this to watch this broadcast, I do apologize. I do apologize, but you have absolutely no control. You have no control over what somebody else does. You don't. You have no control over it. So apologize and just let it stand. So what is going on in the news? Pixelated, and I have to get straight. Okay, so what happened? What's going on the news? Donald Trump, he is leading. He is leading. He's leading the Republicans. What is amazing about this? It's amazing. You know, give it to him. He's leading, but the thing is, he in the polls, he is leading by astronomical lead. And you know what's interesting to me is that he has not participated in any of the debates. Okay. And you know what? It's not funny. It's interesting. Very, very interesting. And not, the subject matter is not going to be about former President Donald Trump unless we want to change the narrative. And the other situation is he is just leading, man. I mean, like I say, I say former President Donald Trump, he is a battler because the more that they try to put on him by burying him in the news media with a high-tech lynching, his polling is not decreasing. His polling numbers are going up, 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 up. And you know what? That's very interesting to me. What do you think? Do you think that they are picking on Donald Trump? Do you think they're picking on him? They once made a song, and I got Frank. Okay, I got Mr. Frank Lordi in. You made it. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, and you know what? They can hear you too. And let me give this gentleman right here. You know what? A proper introduction. You know what? Because that's the proper thing to do when you're the host. And I'm sorry about the lights and the pixelation, but I'll work on that. But you know what? Frank Lordi is out of Ohio. He's out of Ohio. And you know what happened is he was an elected official, but once an elected official, you're always an elected official. Okay. But what happened is he didn't want to cooperate with certain people. But you know what? I'm not going to tell y'all no more because he's got a book for sale and he's going to let him make an introduction of himself. And I'm just trying to set things up. Man, thank you, Frank, for joining us and tell us about yourself. And we got to hear about your book. We got to hear about that because the book is phenomenal from what I understand. Yeah, go ahead, Frank.
What I could tell you, Cliff, is I was born and raised in Youngstown, Ohio.
Okay.
Previously known as Little Chicago.
Okay.
And there was a reason for that, and I think you get it. You get it very well.
I get it, but you know what? These people that are listening, they got to get it. Go ahead.
Well, there were bombings and killings and shootings, and it was all about control of the area because we're located between Pittsburgh and Cleveland. And I guess years ago, it was a fight for this territory between the one mob faction from Pittsburgh and the other mob faction from Cleveland. And it wasn't pretty, I guess. I was just a little boy, and it was terrible was going on. That's how we got the name as Little Chicago.
Oh, Little
And it was
Chicago.
very dangerous at the time, and it was
We'll get rid of that.
not a pleasant experience to live through for people, many people, sure.
Okay. Oh, I'm just having a little hard time. So it's not experience. So you know what? You are a former elected official. Okay. And you know what?
That's
We're going to
correct.
start your journey, but you know what? This is so intriguing that you know what? You wanted to share this story with other people. And you are a author of a book. Without giving the book totally away, give us a synopsis of what the book is about, because we want millions of people. We want this book to go on the bestseller list. We gotta send one to Oprah.
That would be great. The story is about corruption in government, and it all starts on the lower level, Cliff, because that's where it begins to get infiltrated. And the higher that people want to go in politics, obviously, the bigger territory they have to cover for the office, and also they need a lot of money.
Yes.
So
yes.
Many of them, I guess, over time, realize they never have enough money. So some of them, I don't know what percentage, but let's say a good number of them may have compromised their souls to get where they want to go.
And
that isn't a good thing, because then they got and have and own their votes for what they needed done, what they want to get accomplished.
Yes.
And it's a dirty world.
It's a dirty. Yeah, that you know what? Now the name of your book. The name of your book is. Tell us the name of your book and where they can purchase your book at. And did you send Oprah a copy of O?
Yes, our book is, the name of the book is Framed Innocence. It's on Amazon. My website is FRAMED-INNOCENCE.com. My email address is team3, the number 3, Lordi @gmail.com, in case you'd like to send me an email and ask me some questions, because I'm open to debate anything, anywhere, anytime, as Cliff will tell you. And my YouTube is Framed Innocence / Frank Lordi.
Yes.
There you have it.
Yes. Now I got one more question about your book. I want to ask. I'm going to ask you more. Did you happen to send? Now
I hope you ask me a lot more questions.
Books have a tendency to go on the bestseller list in New York. When they sent a book to Oprah, did you send one to Oprah? Did you send a book to you sent a book to Oprah?
Say that again, Cliff.
I say books have a tendency to go on New York's top seller list when they send a copy to Oprah, and Oprah likes it. She has the big O channel. Did you happen to send a copy to Oprah?
I don't know how. I don't know how to reach her. Where would I send it to? I'd gladly send it to her.
Absolutely.
She's very, very popular, as when I know about books.
Yeah, absolutely. So
I
you know what
address.
So you know what?
Tell
us how your journey began. Okay. First of all, tell us something about you so we can sort of, hey, we want to get to like you, man. What grade school and what high school did you go to? What grade school did you go to? What high school did you go to?
I was born in Youngstown, Ohio. I went to a public school early on at Cleveland Elementary School. From there, I went to a Catholic school for the middle grade. And high school, I went to the infamous Cardinal Mooney High School.
Wow. And, wow.
From there, I decided that I was going to go to Youngstown State University.
Wow.
And at the time, they were drafting the seniors when they graduated into the military because of the Vietnam War. And so I decided, after I was redshirted on the basketball team, to get it over with early, so that I could always come back if I still want to go to school to a teaching and coaching career. I would be able to on a GI Bill if I was not good enough to participate. But little known to me, the college coach had wrote a letter on my behalf. Basically saying he needs me to get out of the military early so I could enter school in the fall semester at Youngstown College, it was called then.
Where'd you go to the Navy? Where'd you go to the Navy or the Army?
Come on, Cliff. I'm a fighter. Where do you think I went? Guess again.
The Marines,
come on.
Probably. The Army.
Bring it on. Semper Fi, always faithful.
Yes, sir. What's the name of your unit?
Say it again.
What was the name of your unit? What was the name of your unit?
Hearing that clear.
What was the name of your unit? What was the name of your unit?
I was in. Well, I was in the infantry unit. I went to. They put me into a communication school out in California, and I never dreamed or could ever believe that I would ever learn Morse code to be a radio operator who are up front with the leaders of a platoon. And I was blessed. I was blessed because I had the ability of a sports background. They put me in special services. So I got to play, and also made the Navy Marine All-Star team in baseball. Got to play against we were down in Guantanamo Bay, Cuba, against the Cuban All-Stars. What an honor that was, Cliff. And we beat them in the last inning, like Casey at bat, bases loaded. Last inning, we're down 2, bases loaded. The Navy officer lieutenant put a pinch hitter in the bat, brings up the backup catcher, big brawny guy. They're playing in because they want to stop. They don't want more than 2-run score because we're down 3-1. And he hits a gapper to the wall. All 3 score. We win the game. You would have thought we won the World Series, Cliff, beating them down to the Cuban All-Stars.
What's the name of it? What's the name of the team?
What's the name of the Navy Marine All-Star team.
Okay, beautiful, man, beautiful. Now, you know what? I have to ask you, and there are probably people just wondering, you know what? Went to Youngstown, okay, he was in the military. I like very honest, very good guy by listening to you. Why? What started your journey in politics? Because politics is a dirty, wicked game most of the time. What started your journey?
I recognize that game today, but going in, I'm a very naive guy, Cliff. When I got out of the military, I took both exams for a police officer and firefighter. And I was recruited by some of the fire department members because they read of my athletic abilities. They thought maybe I'd be a handy guy to have around on a fire truck. And so I chose the fire department. I took both exams. I could have been on either one. And so I'm working 24 on and 48 off. And on my 48 hours off, when I go home in the morning after a 24-hour shift, I'd change clothes and head down to the business that I was working for, and who eventually the owner wanted me to have his business because he felt I could carry it on and do a good job and keep his name of the business alive. And I did. So I was very fortunate. So during the interim, I got invited to some fundraising parties for candidates. And I went there, and everybody was joyous and laughing and cheering and rooting. And we would listen to the speaker who was running for office, and it was just clapping and cheering and yelling and that. I mean, I got caught up in that, Cliff, and I thought, man, this seems like fun. I could do that. I like to help people anyway. I said I could get in there and help people as a civil servant. sure found out it wasn't as clean as I imagined it was because I knew nothing about it. I was naive to that. I never had time to follow politics at all.
How did
So,
you know what? How did you happen to find out that it was not everything that you thought it was? Because you went in to help people and you were genuine and to actually make government in the United States and local region better. How did you find out? What warning signs did you get to where, wait a minute, this is not what I thought it was?
I got a lot. Yeah, I got a lot of warning signs when some of the good hires we hired in the commissioner's office that had experience, but they knew the valley. They knew some of the players, who they were anyway.
Yes.
And they start telling me stories about what's going on and how some of this government operates. Yes. And said it's not on a level playing field because you guys threw the leveler off when you guys got in and upset the apple cart and said you want to change things. Well, they don't want to hear about change, Cliff. To us, change was going to be good based on what we heard.
So
we put the change in action.
So are you telling me there was a book by Carter G. Woodson, Miseducation of Negro? Are you telling me that often people run and they run in and make a change, but once they get in, they find out the very system that they talked about, they fight to leave it just the way it is because they benefit. Is that what you're telling me?
That's right, Cliff. That's right. You know, and the first thing we did, the first move we did, we took a poll of who I called was the head of the snake. And that is the same. And in Ohio, we have 88 counties. We have 88 party chairmen, one for Democrat, one for Republican. Well, this gentleman was the Don. He was the real Don who had connections, even on a county level, to Washington, D.C., which is the federal level of government, to where our level of government is at the state level. And he had connections to our state capital down in Columbus. And he controlled the ship. And the majority of them, Cliff, there were some good ones, but if you don't have the majority of good ones, you can't change anything.
You saying like in the movie on the board. You saying like in the movie The Godfather, you had to kiss the ring in the hand. Yes, Godfather. Go ahead. Go ahead. I'm listening
but
to
we
you.
Had me and my colleague, we got elected at the same time. We were on the same program as what we want to do. We want to clean up government, make it better place to live and work. Well, we were against corruption. So one of the first things we did, we took a poll.
Yes.
And the most negative name in the county, he'd never get elected for a public office. But how did he get elected to party chairman? Well, it wasn't by the public.
I got to ask you, who was his name? Who was the name of the party chairman?
The Don of the party was Don Hanai. And he was very, very powerful. And what made him even more smarter than the average party chairman is he was a lawyer. So Cliff, needless to say, he had a very lucrative law practice because he had some good connections in the judicial system that were part of his party. Not out front, but behind closed doors, because they're not allowed to say what party they're from when they're running.
Okay. So you're saying is it's like sound like Chicago, but anyway, you're saying of the Godfather. Okay, I'm gonna say the Godfathers. Okay, you didn't kiss the ring like Don Corleone told the people in the Godfather. Is that the reason that they came after you? But before they came after you, what did they want you to do that went against your morals and your principles?
They didn't have to ask us, Cliff. They already knew what we were about. Okay. So when it come times for the endorsements by the party chairman and the precinct people within the party, they surely weren't going to nominate us to be the leader in the primary elections of those
Yes.
offices that believe what we believe, because we were in the minority. So therefore, we didn't win the endorsements. However, when we lost in our first election, I did anyway. My colleague didn't run till the second time around that I ran. We tried again, and we didn't go after their endorsement, which upset them. You're supposed to go there to kiss the ring. Even if you don't win, you're within their party. Now, we're still Democrats, Cliff, but they understand that when we won in that race, they offered us the olive branch, Cliff, to join the party because they wanted to endorse us in the November election. And we told them to go pound salt. We didn't need you then. We don't need you now.
So, Devin, you was a reformer. You were a maverick, and they couldn't take it. Is that what you're telling me?
That's right. Me and my colleague, we came against that system, and we started making some good changes. And when we took that poll about how negative he was, we couldn't figure out how he could stay in that power of party chairman, because he had connections. He wasn't voted by the public. He was voted by the party people that are the part of the public, but they live in all the neighborhoods throughout the county. Back then, there was somewhere around 400, 425 people that voted for the party chairman. He had about 75% in his back pocket. And what really woke us up is when our congressman, who was very, very popular, ran against him. Our congressman was getting 90% of the vote in his congressional district in Mahoning County that we're in is part of that district. He's getting 90% of the vote. 90. How come when he ran against the party chairman, he didn't win? We didn't understand the system. And once we learned the system, he's elected by his party people that he has the majority in his back pocket. Now, here's the key. Here's how he kept them and was able to stay that powerful. The majority of office holders were in his back pocket.
You're saying
the majority of his office.
What you're saying is, wait a minute, I'm getting confused. So you're saying, like in Chicago, people are looking at Chicago, New York, and California, there's an oligarchy of rich people that control the political apparatus of your party, like in Chicago, New York, and California. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, because there were powerful people, wealthy people that had the ear of the party chairman. And so the elected office holders, here's how it worked. They would receive money from the party chairman for their campaigns. He'd raise them money. But the big thing they liked is also that he raised them volunteers for all their committees. So, he did that for them. What did they do for him? Well, we found out many jobs that were filled by these office holders were given to the party chairman, and he therefore distributed those jobs to those party people, the citizens of Mahoning County that worked for the Democratic Party, and they would give those jobs to their sons or daughters. Hell could freeze over before they're going to turn against the party chairman. They don't care how he runs the party. You gave my son a job.
Wait a minute. Yeah, let me get this straight. You're not talking about Chicago. You're not talking about New York. Okay, California. You're talking about Ohio. I just didn't think those things went on in Ohio. Go ahead.
Yes, you got it, Cliff. You're right on. You're right on. I'm glad you're able to grasp it, because not many people around here didn't know the secret, because they're out of the loop. They're the general public. They don't see who's working, who's getting jobs, who's taking care of things in the court system. It's a different world.
Okay. Now let me ask you, when John Corleone, the Godfather, said, kiss the ring, you would not kiss the ring. Okay. I'm just saying fictitiously, John Corleone, the Godfather. You would not kiss the ring. You would not bow to his allegiance. So What did he want you to do before you came to the conclusion this is something I'm not going to do? What specifically did he want you to do?
Well, here's where my being a very, very naive person comes into play, Cliff.
Okay.
An old timer once told me when I was indicted. We can get into that, but he told me, he says, Frank, he says, in politics, he was very wise.
Yes.
He says, you gotta let people earn your trust and not blindly trust everybody that comes to you, because that's the way I am. Say what you mean and mean what you say. So I take it that people are telling me the truth. So it's not always that. So when you say, what did they want? They wanted people in positions that could help that Don Corleone. However, they don't ask you. They send surrogates out that you don't even know may be tied to them. And it's an interesting
wait a
story.
minute. This is not like Chicago where they send spies to your camp. Did they send spies to your camp? Go ahead.
It was something. But when we let me get back to that party chairman.
All right.
When we put on that race, I can't tell you. Every night we met at the person we put up that's going to run for chairman. He was a lawyer also, but he had a good name and a good reputation. We are interviewing people to run for those positions in the neighborhoods. And since we had so many coming out of nowhere that wanted to be part of our movement, when we made it clear that we're going after it, we found out that we don't know if any of them knew who the people were in their neighborhood who was a designated party worker. And so we wanted people that their neighbors knew that were good people. They were part of a little league or soccer group or a board of education group. They were people that had some familiar knowledge in being involved in the community, so that their people could go to them, and we're going to show them and tell them what the chain of command is of all the problems in your neighborhood, all the way up to where you don't get any satisfaction. You follow the chain, and then you come to us, and we'll shake the tree down, and we'll make it work for you. We'll do our best to make it work. Let's put it
Operation Shakedown. I got you. So when you made a conscientious effort saying, I am not going to follow orders. I'm not going to kiss the ring. I'm not going to do any of that. What were the repercussions? What were the repercussions of your actions? What little games did they play? What little tricks did they play? What were the repercussions?
They were constantly looking at the bidding process and projects, because that's where money is going. And previously, they were able to get things passed real quickly without going through the proper procedures, or having, in some cases, not even the proper paperwork. And some things got taken care of by people that were in some wrong positions in offices to let things slide by. So certain people could get certain jobs, and other people wouldn't be able to have a chance to get any work. Now, I'm going to give you one big example.
Yes.
Some people came up to me and says, Commissioner, nobody could pass the electrical exam for a commercial electrical license. Very powerful.
Yes.
I'm saying, well, why not? They said, Commissioner, the test is too hard. Nobody could pass. Something's wrong. Something's going on. And I said, like I would say all the time, let me look into this.
Yes.
What I found out, the building department, the head of the building department sat on the board that made the exam. He serves under the commissioners. A person from our electrical company, Ohio Edison, is our supplier. They have a person that sits on the board. It's a 3-member board. And the third guy, Cliff, was one of the top. They were in the top. They were high echelon commercial contractor who
Yes.
sat on the board with those two guys who helped them make the exam. Well, I wonder why it was so hard that nobody could.
So the game was like they said on Star Trek. You know what he said? Captain Kirk said, "We beat the odds." That's what Mr. Spock said. And you know, Captain Kirk said, "No, they raided the game, brother." So the game is stacked. It's like the cards are stacked already. Up and down. Okay,
so we threw a wrench into the game. We got rid of the county chairman, or he resigned. Maybe before we came in, I can't remember. He probably resigned because he probably knew we were going to put our guys in. We put a good guy in, and ironically, he's in my book.
What's his name?
Not for doing anything wrong, but he was bribed. And when he was bribed, he went to the county prosecutor. Oh. He's not one of our friends. He's going out of office at the end of the year.
Wow.
And so that story unfolds in the book, how we dealt with that. We end up firing a couple guys. And ironically, Cliff, they were two of the key guys that testified me with 18 counts of felonies and misdemeanors.
Gotta be kidding.
No, I'm not kidding.
Sound like they kissed the ring. Go ahead. Okay, but you know what? That's sad right there. You know what? Something is bothering him.
And I think, Cliff, when I got indicted, you got to understand, they went after us 4 guys, not just me. I believe the interview might have lasted about 2 years. So you talk about stress, but in general, I could tell you this, making a general statement about the criminal justice system, which I had no experience in, didn't want no experience in. They went after us 4, they got me. But 2 things they did 2 weeks before my trial to kick the story up, and I call it more of pre-trial negative publicity that could eventually maybe affect some potential jurors, right?
Yeah.
When they hear about the story and stuff that it comes out, they don't know the other side of the story. I haven't gone to trial yet, but it sure sounded ugly when their county commissioner, who had a good name, a good reputation, all of a sudden he's indicted with 18 counts of felonies and misdemeanors. And I could say, oh my, what they must think of me. Terrible. But the 2 things they did 2 weeks before my trial, the first thing they did, they offered me the 3rd plea bargain or plea deal.
Yeah.
I don't know why they came that with me, but my lawyer had to bring it.
Tell the people what, can I tell you something? Tell the people what it is, because I would have had to take it, but go ahead. Go ahead.
I'm going to tell you what it is. But I had to tell my lawyer, but I said to him, I don't know why he says, I have to bring the deal to you. I said, I don't know why. They know I'm not taking no deal. They know what I stand for and what side I'm on. He says, no, it's my obligation as a lawyer. I said, okay. Yes. So here's the deal they brought, Cliff. Tell me what this deal sounds like. Later on in life, I realized what kind of deal it was. It's called a sweetheart deal.
Yeah.
And they thought for sure I was going to take it. Yeah, here's the deal. Commissioner, we'll drop 17 of the 18 charges. Wow. Oh, really? Felonies and misdemeanors. Oh. We're going to charge you with 1 misdemeanor. And we know you can stay in office for a misdemeanor, but we want you to step down out of office, and we're going to guarantee you no jail time. And with a serious misdemeanor, I found out they could send you to jail. And Frank Lordi indirectly told him, go pound salt. I'm not taking no deal. See, they probably thought I was going to take the deal. It is a sweetheart deal. You're going to drop all them charges? No jail time or nothing? So I battled them. That's part of framed innocence, because we knocked out that prosecutor and sheriff. They're still in office till the end of the year. They got into that fraud probe investigation, and guess who the fraud probe investigators were? But to make it look legit to the public,
Yes.
They told the public, big press conference, TV, radio, newspaper, we're going to start a Mahoning County Fraud Task Force to clean up corruption in Mahoning
Yes.
County. Oh, really,
Yes.
Cliff? They're going after
Yes.
the good guys. The public don't know what we know on the inside, how dirty they are, and who they're connected to. And so, man, the public thought it was great. The media loved it. They're going to get coverage. They're going to find out who's getting indicted. We know we're the targets. Well, so let me ask you a question, Cliff.
I gotta ask you one quick question before we go any further. You know what? There are people that are just tuning in. Tell us the name of your book and how do we buy this book and let people know to share this broadcast, as we're talking about political corruption, not in Chicago, New York, or California, but in Ohio. Please.
Youngstown, Ohio.
Yeah, Youngstown, Ohio.
Former known as Little Chicago. My website, the name of the book is Framed, F-R-A-M-E-D, Innocence, I-N-N-O-C-E-N-C-E. My website is FRAMED-INNOCENCE.com. You can pick up a few interviews on there to wet your whistle a little bit to see that you would like to read my book. It's an easy read. It's an inexpensive book. I wanted it to be easy, Cliff, because when you deal with the law and charges and what I know and what they're saying based on other cases in Ohio, which Ohio had a little saying that I learned when I went away on vacation. They have some of the most laws in the country, but here's the saying that I learned when I went away on vacation, and you know where I went. We'll talk about that a little later. Come to Ohio on vacation, go home on probation. So I'm on FRAMED-INNOCENCE.com. You can pick up a couple of my interviews. My email address, should you have any questions or want to write me a letter. I don't know if you're able to take any phone calls, Cliff.
No, you know what? They you know the telephone number is up, but if they call, hey, you can get on in at 1-312.
Yeah, we'll welcome it. Just let them know. I welcome any and all calls. I don't duck anything. But the email address is team, the number 3, Lordi, Lordi, at gmail.com. And you could witness some of this through Cliff's Power of Persuasion on YouTube, Framed Innocence / Frank Lordi.
And you know what, Mr. Lordi, something I have to ask you. As you were going through this, you are a religious man. I want to know what support did you get from your minister, your priest, at your church, at your place of worship? How did they help you as you were going through this ordeal?
They weren't aware of that until one of my pastors.
What's the name of your church?
Under indictment.
What's the name of your church? What's the name of your church?
Right now, I'm at Highway Tabernacle in Austintown, Ohio.
Gotcha.
And they are the highway to heaven, is the way I look at it. Got some good people.
The minister's name is?
Say again?
The minister's name is?
Well, it was the minister at the pastor before I came there. This is where I'm going now, Cliff.
Okay.
But the minister's name that I'm talking about is he's passed. His name is Pastor Fred Mayhew, and he was a great guy. One thing I'll tell you this, because I'll forget to tell you this. When I went away on vacation, when I got transferred to a couple places, and I got transferred the last place into Youngstown, he told me when I finally got to see him, he said, I was able to see people staying on death row. It was easier to see them to get through the paperwork and the bureaucracy of coming to see you.
Oh, wow.
I'll never forget he said that.
But they were helpful.
Then I went.
They were helpful. I would like to know, were when you went to court, were you judged by a jury or by a judge? And what difference would that have made?
Yeah, I think I would have got a better shot by a judge only. Here's why.
Okay.
Just the opposite of what you would think.
Okay.
I found out later on, after the jury selection, later on remember now, we're like 75% Democrat, okay?
Mhm.
If you ask me, Frank, you can call me by my first name. You don't have to call me Mr. I work for a living.
Yes, sir.
You can call me Frank, but you know this.
Uh-huh.
I sat through that jury process with my eyes wide open. Now, we don't know who they are, what they are.
Mhm.
On my jury, I found out later, I had, well, first of all, back up. You're going to ask me why I was Democrat. Go ahead.
Mm-hmm.
Ask me why I was Democrat.
Why? Why Democrat and not
Because
Republican? Why?
Simply not about policies and procedures and what they stand for. I was a Democrat because my dad was and my grandfather was.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I knew. So I'm a Democrat until I learned a lot more and got a lot wiser. So but to tell you about my jury, this is unbelievable, because one of the renowned judges in our community said that would seem to be virtually impossible for you to get the jury that you got. I said, why that? I said, Mahoning County, you had 9 Republicans on the jury, 2 Democrats and 1 independent. I said, yeah, they didn't do me no favor, did they? Because my name was on TV a lot. We were doing a lot of good things, right? So they every which way I turned, they turned the screws on me, you know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So,
mm-hmm.
you know, it is what it is. But I can tell you that the Lord walked me through my fire when I went away. And we could talk about that after I tell you about the counts and going away.
You're perceptive. That's going to be my next question. My next question is, when they found you guilty, what charge was you guilty on, and what went through your mind when you were found guilty of the charges? Were you mad, angry, upset, confused? What went through your mind?
Well, first of all, the how do I say this? Now, let me put it in the right context.
Yes.
I was when we went for the sentencing hearing, we found new evidence that we felt would get me a new trial. We take it to the visiting judge. Visiting judge. My lawyer brings it to the visiting judge before they're going to sentence me. We're hoping that I get a new trial. And we had some good evidence. I don't remember now what the procedures were, how we filed, what it was at the time. I know we had a lot of evidence. He turned it down. He says, "I'm not going to take it." It means he's not going to hear it. Wow. And then he said to the guards, "Cuff him." They came over and cuffed me, and at that time, anger rose, and I lost. How do I say this? I didn't act right. I was convicted by what I said. Immediately, I was convicted, Cliff, because I yelled out angrily and mean, "You're a coward!"
In the court.
Immediately, it was the judge. I said, "You're a coward." I yelled it out because he wouldn't take the look at the new evidence, and so they came and cuffed me, and immediately, Cliff, I was convicted. I knew I shouldn't have said it. I asked the Lord for forgiveness. It's out of character. I'm not supposed to act like that, but I'm human, and I know that the Lord forgave me.
Of course, and you know what? This is what I like. This is 2 questions in one. When you were on the bus, being transported to prison, were you scared? Were you angry? What did you anticipate you would have to deal with? Were you mad, angry, upset, what was going through? What was your psyche when you were being transported to prison? What's the name of the prison?
It was, where did I go to first? I went to up in Cleveland.
Okay.
Cleveland, Ohio.
What's the name?
Yeah.
What's the name?
I can't think of it right now. It's where they check you in, give you some tests, and look at your records and see where they think you would be a best fit in one of their prisons throughout Ohio. And I mean, I had all my emotions were changing. I had anger, hate. I had a little bit of thought, I don't know where I'm going, question mark. But I could tell you, when I was transferred to the county jail,
Yes.
we're going to do paperwork and all that, and they got to get with the state and find out where they're going to ship me out to.
Yeah.
Before I went to the county jail, my prayer at home was, and I continue to pray to the Lord to ask him to watch over me, because I said, Lord, I don't know where they're going to send me, but it don't matter because they're probably all the same facilities.
Yes.
They got the same kind of people in there. And I said, Lord, I pray that you would guard, protect, and provide for me, because all I know about them prisons is what I see on TV.
Yes.
And I know they can't show everything on TV. So I prayed for his hand over me. And when I left the final place, my final destination in Youngstown, Ohio.
Yes.
I walked out and had known in my mind and my heart that the Lord had brought me through the fire. And I praise the Lord for that to this day.
When you
fortunate.
When you entered, because you were an elected official, did you get preferential treatment, or were people mad and angry and upset? Look, we got them now. What was the reaction from the inmates, the convicts, and the guards, our correctional officers?
Okay.
How were you treated?
Okay. All three places that I went to, check into headquarters, and then they get you, and then I go out into let me give you a little prison lingo. I went out into the yard, and they're waiting for me, a big group. First thing they said to me, Cliff, caught me off guard. They said, how you doing, Commish?
What?
Like,
go ahead.
My wheels are turned. How am I doing, Commish? How the heck do they know who I am? Well, I found out they got thank God for me, they have a heck of a communication with the outside world and what comes in. And I can tell you this, they made it clear to the three places I went, they all addressed me as Commish. They all knew I was coming to when they moved me around, but they said this, you don't know how fortunate you are that we found out on our own that you were not, and I'll say it again, that I was not a police commissioner, because they said if you were, you're going to have a very, very rough time in here. You may not get out in one piece.
You would have been insane if you would have. Isolation. Go ahead. Go ahead.
So I just feel I was blessed. Some, I think, despised me, but I think a lot of them respected me. And I'm glad. And I can tell you this, at the one place I was at, I had more friends than I could count, because this one inmate who seemed like a nice guy, I'm naive, but he ends up, I know him nice from Youngstown. I didn't know that then.
Yes.
Or he came to Youngstown. I met one of the Youngstown guys in there, and I guess he spread the word about me that I was a good guy as a commissioner, and I helped all types of people, all colors of people. It didn't matter to me. That's the way. That's where I was raised. That's where I was born. Because you and I, we both know, we both bleed the same, red.
Yeah.
No difference between me and you. You might be a little darker than me, but I might be as dark as you to get a good look at my skin. I get a nice tan because I'm Italian.
What you know what? Because they might see this. What correctional officer and what inmate or convict was real kind to you that you want to mention in that jail?
Say that again.
What inmate and correctional officer were kind to you especially in that jail
Yeah,
system?
there was one specifically inmate. I'm sorry, let's call him correctional officer,
Okay, what's his name?
prison official. I got it written down somewhere because I can't remember it, but I knew that.
Okay, I know
his
I'm asking a lot
background
of questions. Go ahead.
No, that's okay. That's okay. Because I've been out for quite a while now. My memory, when you get older, it gets a little slippery. But for the most part, my memory's good. But names, I have a rough time with names unless I write them down. If it's a while back. But he was nice, and he would take me to the side, and maybe there wasn't any cameras, and asking me, "Commissioner, do you need anything? Do you need me to call anybody?" And I said, "No, I'm fine. Thank you. I appreciate it." I'll never forget that. And one inmate came up to me real humbly. I didn't know him. Yes. And he asked me, a lot of them, Cliff, talking to me, thought I was a lawyer. Because remember, I knew a lot about my case. I'm not a lawyer.
Come on, you want to mention some of these inmates' names. They might get a chance to see this.
Well, I do. I think no, the one, because he asked me if I, and when I told you I had more friends than I realized, he asked me if I would write him a judicial release to his judge that heard his case. And I told him politely and kindly, I says, I'm not a writer at all. I have ADD. I have a hard time reading at long periods. But you know what? I'm moved to help you because you seem like a good guy, nice guy. But you got to give me your history because that's what I have to put in the letter. And I'm going to tell you this. I kneeled down at that bunk. They brought me a letter size paper and pen, and they put something underneath that I could write on. This is the absolute truth, Cliff. Yes. It's going to sound corny and crazy to a lot of people. I'm writing, and this hand's going, and this hand's going, and it's not stopping. Based on what he told me, it's coming through my mind, and I'm writing, and I'm telling you, I'm not a writer. But I can tell you this. There were more people that wanted me to write for them than when the majority of the bad guards tried to cut me off. But they, so I had to behave myself. They felt they didn't want me helping anybody, I guess. So, but he got his release, and people thought for sure I must be a lawyer, but I wasn't. It was God's hand in my hand.
And let me tell people, he is the author of the book, and the cover of the book is right behind him. You can buy this book on Amazon. Who knows? He may have an ebook. I don't know. He may have it on Audible. I don't know. But I'm gonna let him tell you that.
Yeah, I have it. I have it on Kindle too, so they could see it on their computer. My book.
How do we get this book? But go ahead. How we get this book?
You get it at Amazon.com.
Okay.
And it's very inexpensive. You want me to tell you the price?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
$14.99. I wanted it to be reasonable so people, and it's an easy read. It's roughly 200 and some pages, but I go through all the steps pretty much of what you're asking me, and I make it. And people have been telling me they really like it. It's an easy read. That's what I wanted it to be, so they could realize they could walk in my steps. And I'm on 4 stars on Amazon, and I got picked up by a national media company. Now, here's what your audience could do for me that decides they'd like to get my book or get it on Kindle. When you get a book, you have an opportunity to rate the book and make comments. The ratings are 1 to 5 stars. I'm on 4. They can give me whatever star they want, but if they give me 5, it'll make me really happy if they like it that much. Don't give it to me if you don't think I deserve it. And in the ratings, it's 1 to 5 stars. And in comments, good or bad, I don't care what you want to say, but the more comments you make, I understand why the 4 big media outlets who I want to go after. I got picked up by one, but they won't accept my manuscript or my book because they use agents to scour who's scouring the big booksellers and who's making ratings and comments. And then they take that to their boss that owns all these 5 media outlets. They own all the media stations, radio around the country. And they'll take comments, and then if they like the book. So I called the one that picked me up out of Chicago. Salem Media Group. I was trying to figure out how they picked my book up, because it was early on when the book wasn't out real long.
Uh-huh.
And I believe I was told that one of the agents saw the book, and what was interesting to him was the name, Framed Innocence. And I guess they read it or took it back to their publisher, whatever. Their
You know what we got to
bosses.
do? You know what we got to do? We got to make sure Oprah gets a copy. We got to. We got to make
Go
sure
ahead. Go ahead.
Oprah has a book club. We got to make sure she gets a copy. Go ahead, brother.
Okay. All right. Well, we will send her a book without a doubt. I didn't know you could, because I'm not a book guy.
Yes. And my
But
question
I'm becoming.
Is it an audio book too for people that just don't read well? Is it an audio book too?
No, it's not an audio book, but I think there's someone I might be able to get that's going to do it, because I don't have the patience to do it. And they say you don't have to; somebody could read it for you. But I've only gotten a few comments for that. The people were driving in a truck; they might want to put it on, but I don't know. We'll see how it works out. If I get somebody in there able to do it.
Okay. Now getting back to you, when you were in prison, okay, you didn't have any trouble. The inmates and the convicts and the correctional officers were good to you. When you were in prison, were you working on vindicating yourself and clearing your name?
Was I still going to do that? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah,
me?
was that one of your focuses? Said, I'm going to vindicate myself. I'm going to fight.
Oh, absolutely. They didn't know, the powers to be didn't know we were already working on federal appeals, and that's up in Cleveland, Ohio. Now that's after, and first of all, you got to have federal constitutional issues. And my lawyers in Columbus, Ohio, found a couple of my charges that were federally. My lawyers in Columbus took my case pro bono. You know what that means?
Yeah, they didn't need to charge.
Because they felt I got railroaded. Yeah, they felt I got railroaded. And they called me at my office and says, Frank, guess who called us? I said, who? One of the magistrates of one of the chief justices of the United States Supreme Court. They have questions about ones they want to select, and as they select a bunch of them, and then they vote on which ones they're going to actually hear all together, they have questions, and they write, and their magistrates write the questions down. So they called me. So my lawyers, I say this, they were like kids in a candy store. Guess who called us? Well, it was no big deal to me because I'm not into books and lawyering, but I realized later that is a big deal to get called from them. So it got me excited because I'm thinking, they might hear my case. But because I was a public official, and it should, and the public would have a public interest in it, then it's sometimes they look at public officials' cases. Mine, they didn't. They didn't. I made it to the House Supreme Court before I went to the United States Supreme Court. That's the state court. Then I went into federal court. So it was going on while I was in prison. They probably didn't know it.
And you know what? This is something that I wanted to ask you, that I should have asked you. I don't know if you're married, your wife, your kids. What was your wife's and your kids' reaction when they found out their father, their husband, was sent to prison and they knew he was innocent?
My family has always been behind me from day one, and my friends were too. That you can call. They say, Cliff, if you can count on one hand, that you have 5 friends. That's a lot.
Yes.
And I'm talking about loyal. You could call them any time of the day or night, 3. And they're going to show up.
Yes.
Yeah. And so I was very, very fortunate that I wasn't abandoned. And my little mom, God rest her soul, when I come home.
So you know what? We're winding down, and you know what? With your book, what are you trying? Are you sending a message out to individuals that are considering going into a corrupt political system? What was the reason for you to write this book? Was it to vent? Was it to send out a message? What?
I wanted them to know that if you're going to fight fight, and I hope they all fight and find out as much as you can, and make sure you get a good lawyer, and make sure you help with the research, be involved in your case with the lawyers, and don't ever give up, because for evil to succeed, good men must do nothing. That's my saying for all those out there. For evil to succeed,
you got that. You got that. Sound like you got that. Sound like you got that from Captain Kirk on Star Trek. I'm just joking, man.
I might have got it somewhere, but I don't remember where I got it. But I love it. I love it. It motivated me.
I'm just joking. That's
it was my motivation, Cliff.
You know, my other question for you is, I have been asking you questions for a hour. Perhaps there was something that you wanted to say that I didn't give you the opportunity to say. And I want to give you a specific message that you want to send out to somebody, something that you wanted to say. I'm going to be quiet.
You know, check things out thoroughly before you judge. And we shouldn't judge anybody. The only judge we have is our Lord and Savior. And everybody deserves to have their day in court, no matter how horrendous it is. And that's hard to swallow sometimes, especially when it comes to children. Cliff, it breaks my heart, and it stirs up an anger inside me. And I know that's not right, but it is what it is, you know, and our, it don't make any sense to me. Like, you got people sitting on death row for 10, 15, 20, 25 years because some states can't find the right type of chemical that might cause them a little bit of pain. That don't make no sense to me at all, because all the pain and suffering they cause to their loved ones, especially children, would break anybody's heart, and it never goes away, Cliff. And it's just something you got to deal with. But if you believe in the truth, and I hope your audience does, encourage people to check things out and have the guts and the strength and intelligence to do your research before you jump in. You side with anybody, check them out thoroughly, where they come from, what their background is. Do a thorough check so you don't get caught in between good and evil.
Do you want to send a special thanks out, especially your technical team? Do you want to send a special thanks out to anyone?
I'm very grateful. Well, first of all, to my family for standing behind me, because I know a lot of them lost their families in there and their children, and that didn't happen in my case. And it's just that the two guys that were instrumental, they've passed now. They were instrumental in getting me to where I was to get in public office. One came into my office with a long trench coat, a fedora hat, and a stogie. To this day, I never found out what he told me. He told me, walked in, he said, "I need to talk to Mr. Lordi." Comes in the office. He says, "I was sent here to be your campaign manager."
Yes, sir.
And man, now my wheels are turning. I asked a lot of questions. Sent here, I want to say, sent here by who? So I let him talk first. And he says, "I first want you to check my credentials out before you even think about it, making a decision of me being your campaign manager." He says, "Go look at the books. I'm probably the only guy in this county that got 2 Republicans elected in a Democratic county." I checked it out. He was right on. Then he said this, Cliff. He says, "I'm going to bring in an assistant campaign manager." And now I asked a question. I said, "Well, you know, we campaigned on our own. We were family and friends. I always thought you had a campaign manager." He says, "Well, I'm going to bring in an assistant because he's going to do 2 things for you." I said, "Tell me, what is that?" He said, "He's going to get you a lot of votes." And I said, "Well, how's that?" He said, "Because he's very popular. He's a good guy, got a good name. And in the city, our 2 biggest precincts, the 2 biggest wards, were predominantly his cultural background. And he was also the mayor of the city of Youngstown, which is one of the areas that vote for us, 4 townships and 4 cities. He was one of the mayor of a popular. He was a popular mayor in the city of Youngstown. So he had a lot of connections. So he was, and I said, okay, what's the second thing he's going to do? I like to hear he's going to get me votes. This one set me back a little bit, and then you'll see how I reacted. He said, and he's going to raise you money. And I said, I stopped and I said, raise me money. I said, John, I want you to know two things, like you told me two things. My two things is, it's got to be clean money, and I'm reporting it all. And he says, it'll be clean, and you can report it, because we get done campaigning you out and making you into a real live, honest, strong politician as a county commissioner.
Yes.
Everybody in this county know before the election that you're running for county commissioner. And I said, okay, we'll see. They made it come true. And I'm so blessed to have them. I don't care who sent them. Don't matter. What the matter is, they were straight up. They were honest with me, and that's all that mattered.
But let me give a shout out to your sports teams, though. Ohio Buckeyes, Cincinnati Reds.
Go Bucks! Go Bucks!
Okay, the Cleveland Indians, the Cleveland Browns.
Tribe. I can't say tribe. Cleveland Browns.
I can't hear you now. So
I
give a shout out to his sports teams. The sports people that look at sports read. Okay.
Oh, I get you.
So
I get you.
Tell us one more time how we get your book. Then I'm gonna make some plugs for the little things I do. Go ahead.
My book is on Amazon. My website is FRAMED-INNOCENCE.com, where you could look at some of the commercials and see a little bit about me. My email address is team3 Lordi, Lordi, @gmail.com. And you can see me on YouTube on Framed Innocence / Frank Lordi. And I want to thank you very much from the bottom of my heart, Cliff, because I could tell you're a good man. You got a good heart. You asked some very good, pertinent questions. And I wish you the best of luck in your studio, in the work that you do. And I hope down the road you have me on, maybe when I get to 5 stars on Amazon, or I get a big gig somewhere. I want you to know about it.
You're big right now. You know why you're big right now? You holding on to the Lord.
No.
And you know what? All these material things ain't gonna make no difference anyway. Okay.
That's right.
So you're looking. That's right. Yeah, you're looking at the Underground Railroad television show. I produce television shows in Chicago. I do video editing. Now I gotta sneak in my plug now. But you know what? We produce television shows and I can produce something like this, and we do help you with Google's AdWords. We're not associated with Google's AdWords. And you can make a donation to our PayPal account or DebtIQ. Tap that affiliate link. And what's the name of this? StreamYard. Tap that affiliate stream, because you know what? When you do this helps the platform to grow. But most of all, the links to his book, the very beautiful book, the big sign you see behind him, you know what? You can buy that book, okay? And I encourage you to buy that book. And also, I want to say hi to the people out there, Kennedy King College. I go to college. My major is media production, okay? And I want to thank you for all the instructors out there, the ones that gave me A's, and even gave me a D. It's okay, because you made me better. So, Frank, I want to thank you, and you know what? You have a phenomenal team that is helping you navigate through these technical situations or issues or technical things. Thank you to your team. Okay.
Thank you.
So,
thank you very much.
Okay, so Watch the Underground Railroad every Saturday night at 10:30 p.m. I'm going to put this on. On. But I'm going to have to beep out how much it costs, though. Okay, but I got
Can I say one word?
Rules. All right. I'll go ahead.
Can I say one word?
Yeah,
we had probably one of the largest campaigns that this county has ever seen. We had probably the best sign coverage throughout the county. The other people I really want to thank is those volunteers that took their time away from their family and their home to get me elected, and I was so blessed to have that. They were so dedicated and excited as I was to have this.
Mention some of some of the names of these people. There I go again.
Well, let's see. There's Joe Lordi, George Lordi, Tony Lordi, Ron Lordi, Rosemary Colucci, and Flo Barber. That's my immediate family, my brothers and sisters. But I'm talking about the ones that I can't name. There are too many to name. It was huge, and it was a wonderful, wonderful experience on election night to watch those returns come in, because there was so much happiness there and joy, and just a thing. I mean, my eyes were open. I got a lot of experience of what I went through traveling, including this book, that you can't pay for what the experience that I got to learn.
I got one other quick question. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
What Bill Clinton, they called him the comeback kid. Do you have any intentions of being a comeback kid and trying to come back and run for a political office again? That's what they call Bill Clinton, the comeback kid.
No, right now I'm the watch me back up in my chair. I'm the far back kid.
I just thought I'd throw that in. That's all.
Okay.
Okay, man.
Thank
you, and thank you for the people that look at the Underground Railroad TV show in Chicago every Saturday night at 10:30. But subscribe to our YouTube too, and share this broadcast on Tumblr, on Prius, all of your social media platforms, because we want people to buy this book. Thank you, brother.
Thank you, brother.
All right, take care. I'm looking at everybody. Just looking at the Underground Railroad, and good evening, good afternoon, good night, and wherever you are, whether you're in the United States, you're in Central America, Mexico, Europe, Africa, wherever you are. I left out China. Can't forget Alaska, because you know what? They buy books in Alaska too. Okay, so all these countries, and you know what? If you liked it, give us a thumbs up. If you hated it, give us a thumbs down, because you know what? Constructive criticism is good. You know why? Because that's how we grow. We grow that way. Thank you. Okay, thank you, Frank. And assalamu alaikum to our audience. Which means peace and blessings be upon you. I'm alaikum.